all our witnesses that are here this morning and now this afternoon. As you are all well aware, and as my colleague from New York, Mr. Lalota, referenced, New York City is facing one of the biggest issues that we've seen in a long time. Most recently, the mayor has called for a 5% cut in all New York City department budgets, one right now, one 3 months from now, and one a few months after that, adding up to a 15% decrease across the line in budgets of our police department, our fire department, sanitation, building, our education system, on and on. Those are huge cuts. And I spent a career in the NYPD as a detective and understand how crucial those funds are to really keeping our city moving forward. And most recently, someone has referenced the Billy Joel song about the lights going out on Broadway, and it seems like they are certainly dimming. One of the questions I have for you, Mr. Ballard, is yesterday we held a field hearing at the 9/11 Museum talking about the global threats that have changed this nation over the last 22 years since 9/11. But most importantly, as the chairman of the Subcommittee on Emergency Management and Technology, we talked about how we can do better coordinating federal, state, local level. What can we do better in order to keep this nation and the people who live here safe? And I had to, yesterday during the hearing, was thinking about the hearing today and thought to myself that we could really be posing the same question to the issues that we're facing with our open borders and now so many thousands upon thousands of migrants coming into the city of New York and many Democrat cities throughout this country because they praise themselves as cities and sanctuary cities where they welcome everyone, but clearly had no plans in place to welcome those into this so-called sanctuary city. So my question to you is, what can we do on a federal level to make sure that our partners locally and on the state level have the resources that they need to deal with this humanitarian crisis, with this disaster at the southern border, and most specifically, deal with human trafficking now in these cities where, you know, detectives like myself, it wasn't one of the biggest crimes that you were investigating, but now could be. What can we do to make sure that the local, the state, obviously are getting the resources they need from the federal level?
Well, thank you. It's a super important question. I've been fighting this fight for almost 20 years, trying to make this a priority. The resources aren't given to state and local law enforcement as they should be. That's why the foundations that I have worked with and founded do that. We supplement budgets because we know that it's simply, anecdotally, I can tell you that there's about 5 anti-drug agents for every 1 anti-child trafficking agent. That's not right. Okay, as has been said before, you can sell a bag of cocaine 1 time, you can sell a child 10 times in a day. So let's prioritize correctly, and let's start resourcing correctly so that we can fight this. Let's go overseas and work with our partners. I met with the president of Honduras and the president of Guatemala last week, and they said, help us forward deploy and get these traffickers who are taking our kids into your country. Let's work, we can forward deploy on this stuff. And so there's a lot we can do in that way.
Thank you. I know it was touched on before by Ms. Cantu, but I want to address it with you real quickly. Obviously, when people take oaths to serve in our military, to be members of law enforcement, they take an oath, and during that time, they see things, smell things, hear things that most humans probably shouldn't. Obviously, the issues that we're facing, especially when it comes to human trafficking, creates mental health issues within law enforcement and those that are dealing with this each and every day. What can we do better? What other negative consequences are we seeing from Biden's failed border crisis, but specifically to the mental health issue? What can we do better?
Thank you for your question. I think our sectors need funding to create potential like scenarios for agents to either, 1, have events to honor them. I mean, a great example is our Rio Grande Valley sector had a comedy show. Mind you, our agents are they never show up for anything. I attended this comedy show, and so many agents showed up in uniform. They were allowed to leave a couple hours early. Those kind of scenarios is positive, uplifting, but what ends up happening is when we create events like that, our own agents have to fundraise for these events. I have a committee right now with, and it's made out of Border Patrol wives. We use our own money to show appreciation to our own agents. I think it's a good idea if somehow we had a budget, some kind of funding, so that each sector is allowed to have an annual thing for our agents, just the smallest of appreciation, just something that unites them, that brings that morale, that hope that somebody still stands behind them. And I think right now our chief, Ms. Gloria, has made a really good example of that. And it's just unfortunate that we have to do our own fundraising. I think if anything, create events like that, a wellness events where you bring just medical people to come and see our agents and just talk to them and just things like that. Another thing I would say is I believe that each station should have some kind of chapel with enough chaplains in the station where they're accessible. We need God with our Border Patrol agents.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, and thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Mr. Chairman, my time's expired. I yield back.
The gentleman yields. I now